what the city of Houston is prepared to do to sort of support that legislation and try to have, let's say, the University of Houston designated for some of this Tier 1 funding?
Good question. The question has been, there's a term called Tier 1, which is not well understood even by many of the people I've asked who use it. But basically what it means is more money for the University of Houston, with more designated for research. And there's not a fixed dollar limit, simple test, but they, we support it. We've supported strongly. I've said to interest groups within Houston, including Greater Houston Chamber, that improvements at the University of Houston should be, the long-term highest priority within the community and in higher ed in general. That's in this sense that if you compare this city with what I call our competitors, and I say that in a friendly term, by the other, say, 5 or 6 largest cities in the United States, we are ahead in so many things: the affordability and the cost of living, the international nature of the community, which is a real asset. I think the diversity of the community is. The number of both small entrepreneurial businesses that are growing every year, and the number of large businesses that have great careers for the future. The quality of life amenities that we have, that I just named a few of. But if there's a place that we are not at the top, it is the higher ed spending per capita within our community, and we need to get there. But it's also important. I mean, the issue really is we will never get that if it is perceived of trying to take money away from some other institution, right? And so then the key is, how do we get more total funding for higher education? And the dilemma that people have is that people say they support it, but they're not willing to pay for it, right? Question?
Yes,
Can I ask a following question? Same things for higher education. How about higher education in terms of private university? We know that the Texas, in terms of compared to other big states, has a number of students population in the higher education is very low compared to others. As a Houston or as becoming a senator, what do you think? How Texas proceed to increase the number of enrollment in the higher education in terms of private universities?
Well, the most basic role of the federal government should be to increase the funding, and I would be for a significant increase in funding on programs such as NSF, National Institutes of Health, National Science Foundation, National Institutes of Health, National Endowment of the Arts, provide some sort of support. So, competitive grant-based funding. Now, if you believe in competition, a lot of people say we want more funding and we want more grants. That's a great thing. Only we want more grants for us. So the people that tend to get more grants are the people who write more competitive grant proposals. But that and the other part of it is just making sure that we have, and this I commend within recent legislation, more Pell Grants, introduce the paperwork burdens associated with federally supported student tuition programs, scholarship programs. This is particular. I would be for having, I'd say, a radically new and different set of requirements, reduced requirements for those seeking education as undergraduates in science and engineering and math, where I think it is where we could lose our long-run competitiveness without more of our citizens pursuing that. And I would say that my whole strategy with international students in those fields would be very different than policies proposed by some, or which happen in effect. Wouldn't it be great? I mean, wouldn't it benefit this country? Wouldn't it be an absolute benefit for this country if somebody who was an outstanding graduate student who was an international student, we had organized system for trying to recruit that person to stay in the country rather than, now, you know, I gotta be careful, I don't wanna be accused of promoting a brain drain or whatever. But I mean, if you're looking at what's in the national interest of the United States of America, then basically our asset and the asset of any nation ultimately is the people who live and work there, right? And so, to me, you know, doesn't it seem peculiar to you that we would make it difficult for somebody to come in and out of our airports and not, and have various hurdles that they would have to do to get work permits where they have high educational attainment that'll be long-run contributors to our economy, and yet if they play basketball, we'll roll out the red carpet and recruit them intensively. Now, I'm not against recruiting basketball players, although this center for Utah, I'm glad we're not having to play against him again. So you may know, he's a Turk. Yeah, he is. I didn't know there were 7-foot Turks who could hit 20-point jump shots every time. He killed us last year. Any other questions? Yes.
Let us have the last question because we have to keep the timing.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Dr. Don.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, it is becoming more and more important that we understand the international cooperation in terms of dealing with the global problems. My question is regarding the current financial crisis. Do we have any joint project with other cities internationally to deal with the economic crisis in Houston area?
I wouldn't say special economic projects for the international, but everything. Let me put it this way: everything that we do that would broaden economic opportunities will, in times that is not in crisis, it'll help us grow and increase. And remember, I mean, for many people, hey, if you're 22 years old and you don't have a job, you have an economic crisis. I don't care what the stock market is doing, right? And there's many people, and this happens to people both in the United States and in Turkey and other nations. So anything we can do in order to strengthen economic ties makes us far more resilient. The more diversified economies are, then they're more resilient when it comes to cyclical trends. I'm sure that there's mayors that got together. Now I'm going to be real plain with you. I'm sure there's mayors that got together at various times and said we're working together on the economic crisis. But do they control monetary policy? Or are they just running in front of the parade trying to get a headline? I don't know. But anything we do that contributes to the strength of the global ties will help the international economy in good times and bad be more resilient. I'll conclude too, maybe with something that I don't think will be controversial.